Welcome to episode 132 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We got a special one for you folks today. Of course, if you are listening after the fact, we appreciate it. If you're listening to us here live, you are going to get pretty much our live dissection of the brand new Spider-Man trailer that dropped literally a half hour before we recorded this. It is 6 o'clock in the West, 9 o'clock in the East. Literally a half hour ago on November the 16th, the newest Spider-Man No Way Home trailer dropped. We've also got a lot of great stuff for you today. We've got, of course, we've got football, we've got Activision, we've got Xbox, we've got Disney Plus Day. But as always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California, joined my best friend the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Yeah, it's always good to get a great trailer. You know, like this trailer, pretty satisfying. Didn't give away everything that I think we know is coming, but watched it 3 times in a row. Felt good each time I watched it. This is probably the most anticipated film of Marvel's history, right? But I'm doing well.
Yes.
I can't complain. I'm you know, weather's getting cold here, which makes me happy. I'm a cold weather person. And I know it must be getting cold there, maybe 85, 86 some days.
Actually, it's still in the 90s.
Right? Oh man, maybe it'll chill off and get to what is a heat wave in England anytime soon. But right, let's dive right into it because I actually want to get into this trailer. By the way, you said this episode 132, right? 132,
correct.
And if you add those numbers together, you get
6,
because there's 6 villains in that trailer. So again, listen, before we even dive into it, I saw six different villains unveiled in this trailer. Several of them we knew were coming, but one that I kind of hinted at a few weeks ago that I wasn't sure they were going to do it, but they did. Ray didn't see it, but I'll defend Ray here. If you watch this on a cell phone, you very well may have missed it. It's quick. In the sense of like, it's not like blink and you miss it quick, but it's quick of like, if you're not really thinking about it, you could totally mistake this person. But Ray, why don't you jump in from the start?
Well, and that's the thing is that also definitely it's one of those things where, again, we've had only a half hour. We haven't had a chance to break it down. We haven't had a chance to really I got a chance to watch it 1.5 times, right? Like it was very, so we're not we're fresh. This is as fresh as it gets for us. But yeah. Obviously, the Spider-Man trailer, it's the multiverse. They let the cat out of the bag that the spell that made Spider-Man, they wanted Spider-Man to forget everybody, or Spider-Man wanted everybody to forget him, obviously gets bungled. And as we knew, it opens up the multiverse, and all these villains are getting pulled from different places. And basically, Doctor Strange also lets the cat out of the bag that all these villains die at Spider-Man's hand. And so the big conflict is that Spidey, of course, in typical Spider-Man fashion, is going to try to save everybody, and I don't think he's going to succeed. And so there's also some conflict there with Doctor Strange. Mary Jane gets caught in the middle of everything. Surprise, surprise, already alluding to the classic scene where she falls off the bridge and she but we'll see if I don't think they're going to go through with that. I think he will save
she's
her.
not Gwen Stacy, so she probably won't die.
Yes, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yes, they alluded to the fact that the Gwen Stacy scene in the cartoon, it's Mary Jane. If you all remember the cartoon, she falls off the bridge against the Goblin. She falls into a portal. She doesn't die. And then that series infamously ends with Spider-Man going into the multiverse to find Mary Jane. And of course, that cartoon never had any closure. Could we get a cartoon Spider-Man at some point in this? Probably not. But at that point,
we got another cartoon coming back from that universe. So everything's possible now.
Everything's on the table right now. And we will get into, of course, that with Disney Plus Day.
That's the biggest reveal of the week, to be fair. But yeah, we'll get back into it.
But yeah, so I mean, and at the very end of the trailer, Doctor Strange basically says, I can't contain it, I can't stop it. And we see basically a multiversal crack across the sky. What villains and heroes will come in through that crack, we don't know. But most likely we are going to get at least Tobey and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That's what we're expecting. We did not see them there in this trailer. And honestly, if they're not in the movie, I think people are going to absolutely tear this film apart.
It's the worst kept secret in Hollywood right now. They're obviously in the film. Okay. They're not going to bring back the villains from those films and then not bring back those characters that in fact, at one point, Doc Ock says, like, you're not Peter Parker, alluding that you're not Tobey Maguire. So they're going to be in the film. All right. I think there have been screenshots of that leaked anyway. So like, it's going to happen. All right. The question I have from the Spider-Man side is, what other Spider-Man might we see? Are we going to see Miles Morales? Are we going to see an animated Spider-Man? Are we going to see Spider-Man 2099?
Yes.
Are we going to see other
Spider-Man Noir? Anybody?
Right,
yeah, there's
there's a lot. So it can be overload. If it is just those three, I will not complain. I really won't.
Right.
Other villains. So, okay, let's get into the villains, right? Because that was a pretty good part of the narrative, Ray. Again, I love the idea that there's a rift in the multiverse and that Spider-Man villains are pouring in. Love it. Love that they said that.
And it's before they die. It's specifically before their demise in their respective universe.
Right. So let's go over the villains. So the ones we already knew, obviously, Doc Ock is there. All right.
Doc Ock was a central part of this trailer. He's going to probably be similar to Doc Ock in the films. He doesn't have the overwhelming hatred of Spider-Man as a lot of other villains have, because he still looks at Peter, at least his Peter, as kind of a pupil in certain ways. Remember, that was that was an infamous part of the Spider-Man 2. And I think that even here, when he's in a cage, he does get captured at one point, and he seems to be like bantering with them back and forth.
So another thing is about his arms. If the arms have a red light, they are in control. If they have a white light, Ock is in control. All right.
Yes.
So, and they have a red light throughout the trailer, to my knowledge. I didn't see any white light.
There's also one point where it looks like Iron Man nanotech bonds with the arms. I imagine when he's fighting Spidey or something, and that I wonder if there's at some point maybe that allows him to get better control of the arms. There's a lot going on there, but he's definitely the arms change mid battle.
I would not mind an Edith moment, even in Death I'm the Hero, with some Iron Man tech. I think that would be brilliant, actually. Just the echoes of Tony Stark. All right, so the villains. We know Doc Ock is there. We knew Green Goblin was going to be there because we saw his bomb, but it was 100% confirmed. Obviously, we could hear William Dafoe doing very much a taunting kind of like, you want everything, and they're making you choose, kind of trying to be like, you can be whatever you want. You have the power. Why are you helping exactly
this
what William
people?
Dafoe was in the first film, which was awesome, right?
Yes.
Okay, then we get into some of the other villains. We knew Electro was in the film. We finally got a look at him. It is not the blue Electro.
Thank goodness.
Right.
Thank goodness they did Electro. He's more like the comic Electro. Even when he has like, it looks like a rig. He doesn't have, it's not the green suit, but it looks like he has some kind of a rig, something maybe that the Vulture gives him or something, some kind of tech. But he has, at one point, the electricity sparks out into the 3-pronged mass from the comics, but it's more traditional Electro. I am all for that. I think Jamie Foxx looks great again, as usual.
And to be fair, we don't know what universe he may or may not be from. Like, it's also possible we might get more Tom Hollands in this film, but you never know. All right. So that's 3 right there. Fourth one that we talked about the next 2 in depth. Sandman was clearly revealed.
Yes, they clearly reveal him in all his shape-shifting glory. And it was a nice scene. And also alongside him, we also briefly got the Lizard hopping around, which we were expecting from the Andrew Garfield universe. So
we've basically seen outside Venom, every villain now from Tobey Maguire's universe and from Andrew Garfield's universe, except one. And he was in this trailer, which is Goblin Jr.
I didn't see him.
He is there. He flies towards the screen. And the reason I know it's him is because he has the goggles on. All right. So
I hate Goblin Jr.
I do too. But now listen, I did say this to you, Ray. It is possible that is a different Gobby Jr. It's possible that it's William Dafoe. Yeah, there's a lot of different things, but I'm pretty sure that is exactly who we think it is. Now here's the other thing too. And I'm surprised a lot of people missed that, right? To be fair. Like, so I'm not, like, I wouldn't be surprised if people didn't know who he was. Like, because we talked to this last week. Like, I think
he's entirely forgettable.
Right. I'm sorry. We didn't get the Goblin from the Garfield universe either in James DeHaan, which he might show up. Right. So basically we've seen every villain come back. Now let's get into other villains. I believe we will see a Kingpin. I think that may happen.
I mean, Daredevil's supposed to be his lawyer, so
I would not be surprised to see Daredevil in this. I would not be surprised to see Venom in this at some point, right?
I mean, they did show briefly another Spidey back in the black suit, which was interesting.
I saw that too. So again, look, the nice part about a Spidey verse is that while you want to see Tobey Maguire, you want to see Andrew Garfield. The truth is this: is if he has the mask on, you can make it whoever the heck you want. All right, you could get Miles Morales. And I think that, like, again, look, one of the rules of the multiverse, Ray, we don't know yet, because they haven't crossed over cartoon to live action yet, really.
Right.
And again, this is funny because, like, I love the level of geek I'm about to go to here. This actually makes me happy. All right. The only successful multiverse property in comic books right now that's done it on the screen is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? And possibly The Simpsons have done it too, right? They've done multiverse type deals. Okay. So the question is when an animated character comes into a live action film, do they remain animated or do they conform to the reality they're in? Either way, I'm fine. I think it's going to be a little weird if we see an animated Spider-Man.
I was going to say it has to. I think he has to become a live action.
Right.
Like,
so,
I think
but Miles Morales live action,
yeah,
they could totally bring back 90s Spider-Man. Totally. Right.
Yeah.
Same voice actor and everything like that. There's a lot they could do. But look, this was a great trailer. We got a little bit more plot.
Yes.
Let me rephrase that. We got just enough more plot.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Because
yes.
there's still so much they haven't shown us yet. Also, a very large Steve Rogers tower is being built with a shield on top, which I don't know what that is. I know that they're going to this musical Rogers in this. I don't know if that's going to be it or not. But yeah, look, it did what it's supposed to do. It got you excited. It didn't show you too much. Right. It gave you just a little bit more. And I don't know if there's going to be another trailer. Now, I kind of hope there isn't.
No, I don't think at this point. I think part of the reason why they put this trailer out now is I think it's going to be in front of Ghostbusters.
I think so too.
Honestly.
Yeah, this weekend.
Because Ghostbusters is a Sony movie. Right. Obviously, this isn't done with Sony in conjunction with Sony and Marvel. Right. I would not be surprised if this is going to be the lead-in trailer to one of the big trailers that's going to be in front of Ghostbusters.
All I'm going to say is it was excellent. It was big. Marvel clearly preparing for this to be the biggest film they've ever released. Moneyman in our chat here, we're live on Twitch, says, don't forget Fout Albert. Moneyman, I said good multiverse films.
Yeah.
That was weird. But
we're not gonna get into that.
No, we're not. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has done this actually quite well, and they've done it multiple times, right? Where different turtles have traveled to different turtle verses.
Yes, especially
and
in
comic
animation.
Verses with Batman. So I'm looking forward to this. Excellent job by Sony and Marvel.
And again, knowing that this is still the Tom Holland verse, we know that Vulture's still out there as well, potentially. Right. Like, so even though that he wasn't shown, and considering we've seen him in the Michael Morbius trailer, I would not be surprised if Michael Keaton shows up as Vulture at some point, even again, if he is to help Electro get, some sort of a power set or modify his powers or whatever.
There's also the Tom Holland villains too, which technically we don't know if any of them are actually 100% dead.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the Vulture, right? That's the first Tom Holland
could show
film.
Up too. Yeah,
that is possible.
Yeah,
there is that. There's always that possibility. But
if it was a different time, it's amazing. It's exciting, and what would be cool, Ray? If in this multiverse thing, when the Spider-Men come through, there's a question for you, right? Do you want it to be de-aged Tobey Maguire, from Spider-Man 2, or I think it would be cool if it's an older Tobey Maguire.
I'm fine with it. I was thinking about that myself. I think it's fine. I'm fine if it's older and if they're talking and he's like, kid, I've been doing this for 20 years. Like, don't like,
cool.
If you have like a moment like that, I think that would be fine.
I think so too. And then Andrew Garfield is just still Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, he's just Andrew Garfield. But I think that Andrew Garfield voiced by Chris Pratt. But I think it's going to be I can't wait. I think it's gonna be great. And like you said, they gave us just enough plot. I think they needed to give us this little bit of plot to clarify some things, because I definitely think that I think it was weird with Spidey and Doctor Strange. I still think the whole spell thing was weird, at least from the last trailer. Now that they basically said that, like, hey, listen, the spell didn't work, and worse yet, because you messed it up, or we messed it up, all these guys are coming in. I think that's more fun, and I think that's more in theme with Spider-Man. And I'm glad that I think that they're going to insinuate that everybody still knows who Spidey is, because I think that's important. Again, I think that the fact that you see Mary Jane still knowing who he is later in the film, I think that is important, because goodness knows after the last trailer, we were all scared they were going to do a one more day kind of thing. And I think that now they've kind of said, no, don't worry. It's not going to, we tease it, but it's not going to go one more day style. Like, everybody's just remember who he is. And that really calmed me down in terms of a lot of my fears, because I had become very, very pessimistic about them possibly doing that storyline from the last trailer. So needed to be said. Screw one more day. And
it was good.
Marvel.
It was good. It looks like even if the spell does work, it's going to get reversed. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, no, for sure. I'm glad that they're not gonna do that where they're gonna make everybody forget who Spider-Man is. But yeah, so there's that. We also had this was a big week for Marvel and for Disney in general. Disney Plus last week, last Friday, had Disney Plus Day, and they announced a whole slew of stuff. They showed us some scenes some concept art from Obi-Wan, insinuating that Obi-Wan may fight Vader again in some shape or form in this. Which is a big deal, obviously, for obvious reasons. Although I think a lot of folks wanted to see an actual trailer, we did not get that.
We did not.
No Boba Fett. Needed to mention that this for Caitlin so that she could use this as the cover image. No Boba Fett. And also we wanted to make the joke that we need an image of Boba drinking boba aside Boba Fett. Along with Lee's old cat Bobo. So yeah, so we have all the Bobas and the Bobos with the Bobas drinking the Bobas, and that's going to be that image that week. So I worked it into the show for Caitlin, our producer. She's set there. There we go. But also back to more serious stuff. We got a lot of teasers. Echo, for those of you who don't know, is basically she's kind of like Daredevil, but deaf instead of blind. And actually, she's more like Taskmaster. Her special ability, actually, the reason why she's called Echo is she has Taskmaster's abilities. She'll probably be introduced in the She-Hulk show and or the Hawkeye show, which I'm all for. In the comics,
her show's a spinoff.
She's a spinoff. Yeah. And to your point about the Kingpin, in the comics, she's the Kingpin's adopted daughter. So you wonder if they're going to work that in. Again, we're getting Matt Murdock back in the Spider-Man film, I believe. So like maybe this is another way to kind of push that forward. We got our first tease of Moon Knight. Yep. And it does look like they're doing schizophrenic Mark Spector. It looked like there were voices in his head or different voices that he was listening to, which is interesting. We got Oscar Isaac, his first glimpse is that. We've confirmed What If season 2. We've confirmed we knew She-Hulk was coming. What a teaser for She-Hulk, which is huge.
Yeah. With Mark Ruffalo too.
With Mark Ruffalo in both Hulk and human form at different points. We know we're getting Agatha, House of Harkness, Ironheart, I Am Groot, Marvel Zombies is getting a spinoff out of What If. What If is getting a season 2. We knew Loki season 2 is coming. Just going to list them all because there's so many. Ms. Marvel's been pushed to the summer. And then 2 Secret Invasions coming, and then 2 huge cartoons, other cartoons. Spider-Man freshman year, which I believe is going to be the like Tom Holland Spider-Man, but
it's Tom Holland's origin story.
Right. And then the big one, Lee hinted at it during the Spider-Man trailer, X-Men 97. Mid X-Men 90s cartoon, picking right up where the X-Men cartoon left off in the mid 90s. I'm all for it. I'm super excited for this. Lee, thoughts on all the Marvel stuff that was released on Disney Plus Day?
So a few things. One is you're starting to see Disney Plus evolve here quite a bit. People are going, that's a lot. Well, it's actually not compared to Netflix or some of these other streaming categories. So what they're doing now is what Netflix did, is aggressive expansion. All right. Yeah. Suck on that, DC. But they're doing some aggressive expansion here, and they're making a ton of content for us to watch. I mean, it's going to be, you cannot go home at night without watching a Disney Plus property. And keep in mind too, like we're talking now about 3 different things. So the Marvel shows, I was happy with what we saw. Again, they unveiled a few things. Ironheart got a little bit more of a logo, I guess, if you will. Yeah. But nothing really new there, right? It's just kind of cool to see it come out. Again, the Marvel Zombies is brand new. X-Men 97 was a complete shock. And what I love about it was the reaction from people of just, thank you for doing this, because we all want to see that show again. It was such a great TV show. You can go back and watch the old ones now. It did kind of just end like a lot of shows at that time period. Plus, if it works, Ray, if it works, I want to say that, it opens up all sorts of possibilities. I mean, they could go back to Spider-Man. It would probably force HBO and Warner Brothers to look at it. I already know they're going to be doing some Batman stuff. So
they're kind of doing what they're calling the spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series with Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Right. But this is, like you said, this is a pure continuation, and like you said, it kind of left off. What I'm curious about is X-Men, that X-Men series really drew directly from the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont comics of the early 90s.
And they were executive producers on the show. Yeah. I mean, they were heavily involved with that cartoon.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Obviously, Jim Lee is basically, he's tied to DC now. He's DC's EI. He's the head guy at DC. So he's probably not going to be involved with this. Chris Claremont might. But are they going to now take it in a direction? Are they going to veer from the comics of that time and go into more original stories? Like, I'm really curious to see what they do narrative wise with all of that.
Well, here's the thing is Disney always has a plan. And like, look, this is a long shot. I'm not saying I want this. I'm not saying I expect this, but it's not crazy to think they might be trying to tie this into the larger Marvelverse somehow, right? It's just not crazy. Like I said, when we saw What If, we thought those were one shots till about 3 episodes in, and we're like, something's connecting here. There's something strange connecting these. So again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but who knows, right? If anything, I'm just happy it's back just so we can hear the theme song again. I will say I was mildly disappointed with the Star Wars stuff.
Lack of Star Wars stuff,
yeah, there wasn't much. But I say mildly because I can live with that, with what they gave us. Beggars can't be choosers here. We did get a Boba Fett trailer a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. So and with Obi-Wan, it's like the stuff they did give you. If you really think about it, the stuff they shared with us is incredible. All right, now this is my one point I want to bring up. Is there's a clear concept art of Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader.
Yes.
And something that Jon Favreau and Filoni do so well is taking classic Star Wars moments and making them 10 times more important than they were.
Yep.
Okay. The line, Ray, that I keep coming back to in my head after seeing that picture.
I was the learner, but now
yes, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. What they could very drastically change what that means.
Yeah.
Right. And now suddenly, what if Vader is just the Sith learner, not the master? And then there's, I mean, they could add so much depth to that scene of how that happened. So I'm looking forward to that. I look, the more Vader, the better. Again,
yes,
I've said this before. Vader was, I don't want to say done wrong with the prequels, but he lost a little bit in the prequels in terms of how bad he was. I think, especially if you're younger than 25, like you might not have known Vader like Ray and I knew Vader. I mean, he's a scary, dark, evil character. He was not ever a good guy to us. He was always dark. So I think the more they do with that, the better. Sensei Solo comes in and says, "Did I show up for time for Star Wars talk?" You perfect timing. Yes. Hello there, I should say.
Yes.
And then
what's up, Sensei? Also, what's up, Chris Tiger Harris, giving a sub back here in chat. Thank you very much to you, buddy.
Sir. Yes, thank you. And you've just been asked, is your real name Ramond? He didn't.
Yeah, Ramond. It's Raymond. Ray is short for Raymond. Yeah. Chat's interesting tonight. We got Money Man trying to spit out baseball free agency stuff. We'll get to that maybe later. But we did Star Wars talk here for the folks. Again, if you're listening after the fact, we are of course live on Twitch.
Yes,
we've got a chat is starting to get livened up now as we're talking about Star Wars. So.
Yeah, I love Star. So yeah, the Obi-Wan stuff. It can't be disappointing if they're not ready to release anything. That's fine. Didn't see really much else to my knowledge. Some sad news today. It sounds like 2 of the movies have been tabled. The X-Wing film has been tabled, and whatever Rian Johnson was making, which I think was a Knights of the Old Republic thing.
Yeah.
But I who knows, right? So Kenobi is going to be really good. I'm excited to see who's in it. Again, another like heavy secretive thing. It's the people we don't know that are going to be in it that I'm excited about. But again, you got a Boba Fett trailer. The Mandalorian trailer can't be far off. Now I'm thinking about it.
Probably, I think they might save that for after Boba Fett or just towards the end of Boba Fett, which you figure because that series starts already in 6 weeks.
That's true. I mean, and then obviously the next thing you and I are streaming on Stream Lounge is Hawkeye,
which
is right around the corner too. So
we're gonna starting December 3rd, I think is what we're aiming for to do the first couple episodes of that.
Right. So while we're on Marvel, Ray, I did want to say I did finally see Shang-Chi.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. It was great. It was actually really, really great. I enjoyed, and this is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but I did enjoy the ending with Wong and Bruce Banner and like Welcome to the Circus and the illusion. Because the one question I had the whole movie was like, what's the origin of these rings?
Yeah.
And I love that they said like, we don't know. I was like, great. that's a great way to bring a new character into the universe with a deeper meaning without knowing. So that's awesome.
Well, one of the big things that I was hoping they were going to do, but they didn't, but they did hint at, obviously, with the dragons in that film, of course, is is this going to be a way for them to bring in Fin Fang Foom later on, who of course is part of a celestial dragon race and whatnot. And like they mentioned that the rings are older than anything they known, kind of dating them back to kind of something celestial, kind of probably Eternals. We haven't seen Eternals yet. We've just been too busy. I was also I was super sick after my booster shot for COVID, but I'm good to go now. Which is perfect because Ghostbusters comes out this weekend. I'm super pumped.
We are very pumped. I saw them on was it Jimmy
Fallon? They were on Jimmy Fallon last night. They're on CBS, I think, this morning. They're doing the rounds. Bill Murray, very funny, talking about how heavy the equipment is now as an old man.
I love the three of them because Bill Murray is just like, I don't really want to do this, but I'll do it. And then Dan Aykroyd is like, people care about me again. Yeah. And then Ernie
Hudson's
he's just like, yeah, I'm here. If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll do anything you say.
They are very much exactly they're almost at this point as old men what their characters were in Ghostbusters.
It's so true.
So yeah,
Egon, here's your mucus.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Dan Aykroyd wearing the Ghostbusters hat.
If there's a paycheck in it, I'll do it. I'll believe in anything you say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's good to see them making the rounds. Well, obviously that I will definitely see this weekend. We'll have notes on it for next week.
Right.
So be prepared for that. For sure. Disney Plus Day, like you said, Star Wars was a little disappointing. But then again, last Disney Plus Day was mostly Star Wars oriented. This time around, it's more Marvel focused. And I think it's a big deal. I
don't bite on these like days anymore. Like these big reviews. I don't bite on them too much anymore. It's like, look, just release the stuff when it's ready to come out. You know, it's just like, that's my attitude. Like, again, like why wasn't the Spider-Man trailer done that day? Right. So it's like, I don't hold my breath anymore with these things. If we get something, it's great. If we don't, so be it. But overall, like, look, if you walked out of that day, like upset that you didn't get something, slow your roll and just, you're getting everything. You're getting everything.
We even got the last little piece.
The
last little piece of news that people got also is that people forget that Predator is now owned by Disney as well. Right. 20th Century Fox. They announced a new Predator movie called Prey, which takes place like 300 years ago, and it's actually a story that kind of borrows from some of the comic books of Predator.
Indigenous in that, or it's like a tribe, right? They're fighting.
Yeah, the Predator. It's 300 years ago. He's going after indigenous people, and it's an indigenous person who's going to be the hero. And it kind of borrows because again, the idea is in the Aliens versus Predator universe, is Predator comes to Earth every few hundred years or whatever. Like,
and we know that from Predator too. Yeah,
right. So, and that's a really, really interesting idea that it's called Prey now, and that it's basically taking one of those other stories from a different time. If it has the original Predator kind of vibes in some way from the little bit that we saw from the picture and whatnot, I'm all for that. I think that's a great thing that they're bringing it back, and that Disney is willing to keep that franchise alive because it's a very un-Disney franchise.
Right. I actually have an answer to this. I'm going to put you on the spot. It's okay if you don't. Alien or Predator? If you had to pick one, because I know my answer.
Predator.
Yeah, I've always liked Predator more than Alien.
Yeah.
I really have, for whatever reason. Keeping in mind that obviously any aliens that the Predators fight in any of the movies they've been in is, Pleasant Day. So Alien hasn't even happened yet.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense because then that prequel they made takes place in the future.
Yeah, it's
dun.
Yeah, that whole timeline is a mess.
No, the Predator's better looking, better lines. One ugly mother. Anyway, Casey has just shown up in chat and he brought up a good point. He said, did we discuss Halo series trailer yet? We have not, but we should talk about that.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. We've got a lot of stuff to get to excellent. Still.
Casey, it's in the notes, Casey. We were prepared. I understood the assignment.
Yeah. We're going to get to that when we get to the Xbox 20th anniversary celebration, because that was one of the announcements as well. But also announced this week, want to briefly mention Henry Cavill is going to be starring in a reboot of Highlander, which is basically like he was the Witcher, and that's basically like Highlander and all that other stuff. And it's like a 1-to-1. It makes perfect sense.
It's an obvious one. So I don't know if they're rebooting the entire Highlander universe, if they're going to come back in the TV show universe, the movie universe, which are kind of the same thing, but kind of not.
Right.
I could do with a fresh Highlander, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
As much as I love, Connor McLeod and Duncan McLeod, if we have to move on from the McLeod family, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all for it. He like Henry Cavill's a massive geek, massive, and I don't mean
he's
like
one of us.
One. Yeah, he's totally one of us. He's scared of women. I mean, totally get it, right? So just I'm all for more Highlanders. And honestly, look, if they bring back Richard Lambert, like the original guys, I have no problem with that too. Because like the last Highlander film,
as many as they can, right? Like,
yeah, they made a couple films maybe 15 years ago to kind of end the show and film loop. And they were just they weren't bad, but they were very TV show on film, if you know what I'm trying to say. And
yes.
I would love for that to be rebooted. Again, if you haven't seen Highlander 1, really great film, still holds up today.
Yeah.
All right. Highlander 2, don't ever see that movie ever. And then Highlander 3 is basically Highlander 1 again, but not as good. So if you're going to pick one, see Highlander 1.
Yeah, stick to the first one.
Yeah, and then there's Highlander Endgame, which is not as good as Endgame. So just Highlander 1's the only one. It's got Sean Connery in it. Pretty much he's James Bond, but from Spain, but without a Spanish accent, which again doesn't make sense. But
that's his whole thing. He was a Scottish Russian sub commander in Hunt for Red October.
Christopher.
He was a Scottish Franciscan monk. And I think it was like the Name of the Rose, I think, when he plays Baskerville.
You know what? To round this out, there can only be one. And if you have to watch one, watch the first
one. Watch the first one.
All right.
There you go.
And the show. The show was very good, but very different at the same time.
Yes.
But yes, Henry Cavill absolutely would love for that. I have no problem if he was picked as James Bond either. I think
I mean, we know at this point, I still haven't seen No Time to Die. At this point, it might be too late to see it in theaters, but
that's almost, I think it's on video already. I think you can get it on like iTunes and stuff now.
Well, there you go. So I might just sit at home and have to watch it one of these nights. I got a lot of movies to catch up on. Unfortunately, I was not ready to go to see a lot of films yet as we were coming out of the pandemic.
Top of the list for you and I right now, even with Eternals being out, is Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is top.
I'll see Ghostbusters this weekend, no matter what. Eternals might have to wait till next weekend at this point.
We're trying to get to Eternals, and then it's going to be Hawkeye for us right after that. So.
Right. Well, which is great because it's on Disney Plus, as everything should be at this point. Because I'm tired of going to the movie theater. It's expensive. It is. Sorry, folks. It is. But yeah. So that brings us to, we move from TV shows. We're kind of continuing to the TV shows real briefly. Xbox celebrated its 20th anniversary this week. It's been 20 years since the original Xbox with the Duke controller. The Duke launched, and it's been 20 years of Xbox. Obviously, they had a nice little presentation on Twitch. Couple of big things to come out of it. The big thing, of course, ahead of Halo Infinite releasing in beginning of December, is the new Halo series was announced and confirmed coming to next year on Paramount Plus, which means I will not watch it because I don't care about Paramount Plus whatsoever.
I will because I watched Picard.
Paramount Plus, that's terrible branding. It's absolutely awful. I liked it better as CBS All Access, not gonna lie.
It's a better name.
It's a better name. It's a better name. Paramount Plus sounds stupid. It sounds like they're trying desperately.
We need our name on it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Halo series,
Disney did.
Yay. Like, I worry about taking video game stuff and turning it into TV series. Witcher obviously did fine with it. It doesn't always work, however, and I think Halo, there's a reason why this project has been shelved repeatedly over the years, and I am very, very concerned with it. I don't think we need to see John 117, John 117, Master Chief, whatever you want to call him. I don't think we need to see him on TV screen. I really don't. I think that's what's going to happen, and I hope it's good. Andrew asks in chat if we've seen many Saints of Newark. We have. Go back to previous episodes, Andrew. We broke the whole thing down. I went full Jersey on it. It's great. So definitely we have seen that in terms of movies, because you know why? Because it came out the same day on HBO Max. No reason to go see that in the theaters. Definitely no reason to see that in theaters, even though it was fine. But Halo series on Paramount Plus, and the Halo Infinite multiplayer beta has been released to everyone as of yesterday. everybody jumped on it as quickly as possible, except for me, because I got other games to play. I'll play Halo when the full game releases first week of December.
So here's what I'll say about Halo. The teaser trailer was a great teaser trailer because it did just what it was supposed to do, which was tease, and it says, hello, Master Chief. Any Halo fan's going to be excited if they see that. Any Halo fan's going to be excited if they see that. But you said story canon is very important. The reason The Witcher works, Ray, is because 70 to 80% of the audience of that show has no idea what's going to happen or anything about the storyline or the books or the computer games. And the show essentially ends at the beginning of Witcher 3. Yeah. So almost everything in that show in season 1 is pre-Witcher 3, which is really the biggest release they've ever had.
Yeah, by far.
Now they run into this. Okay, people have played The Witcher 3, which again picks up right where the show left off. So now you have some obligation, but you're committed, right? With Halo, as Casey says in chat, they may not follow anything canon, do some original stories,
which is a big no-no.
Well, it's I always wrestle with this. It's like, do people want to see the stories they already know, or do they want original stories? And look, the answer is in Marvel, which is you have to skateboard or surf the wave of canon, and you can jump off the wave once in a while as long as you come back to the water.
Exactly. You kind of got to follow a wave, and you got to kind of make sure that you intersect with the things that people want. Like, if you do like anything with Reach, for example, which of course is the big plan, really where the Halo starts, right, with Reach. Right. Even though the Covenant Human War had been going on for years before Reach is the jumping off point for the timeline of the series and the franchise.
And Master Chief is in the end of that game too.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is that like you kind of like, if you do Reach, you do the first Halo ring or any of that stuff, like you do anything in between those times, you got to make sure you hit into those times to make sure that people you stick with what everybody knows.
You're 100% right.
And yes, Casey, the Spartan program, as Casey mentions in the chat, the Spartan program has some really dark history. Well, I mean, they basically ripped people away from their parents in order to experiment them on and turn them into super soldiers to win a war against an alien race that nobody realized that they were all fighting the same war at the same time, which is basically to stop the annihilation of everything.
Are you talking about the Jedi?
No, talking about Halo. Okay, it's all the same. Sci-fi's all the same. It all comes back to a certain.
You used to think we have things. Jedi here?
Yeah.
Nah, nothing Nubian. Only money.
Yeah. But also real quick from the Xbox presentation, which I think is really cool, and I can't wait for that to hit. I think it's coming to Netflix and a lot of other platforms. The Power On documentary, which is going to be a 6-part series detailing the creation of the original Xbox and all the trials and tribulations they went through. Because again, remember, Windows was an operating system company. They didn't think they were going to get into video games.
It came out of nowhere. Yeah. You got to understand, at that time, Nintendo and PlayStation were the gods. And then suddenly there's this Xbox thing. And then once Halo happened, obviously that changed the conversation dramatically.
Right. Well, having Halo was the feather in their cap. And they talk about the creation of Halo. They talk about how Steve Ballmer was, ended up becoming the champion of Xbox in a lot of ways behind the scenes. And of course, how a lot of these guys, they talk about the red ring of death, when they get to Xbox 360, they talk about how hard, and it's actually, I think it's gonna be a fascinating thing to show how hard it is to make video game hardware, especially 20 years ago. And that these guys who basically the original Xbox team were the guys who made DirectX. Anybody who's ever played a PC game, you know what DirectX is. You needed that, but that's where they cut their teeth, and they're like, we're going to make a video game system. And I mean, thank goodness. I mean, 20 years later, it's working swimmingly. I don't know if anybody's played Forza Horizon 5 is amazing. That's another thing that happened. Yeah, for Game Pass, it's free it's free on Game Pass. Honestly, totally worth it. It again shows why Forza is the best racing franchise in games. Gran Turismo's dead to me. I'm sorry, it just is. But it's just Forza's amazing. Does amazing. It's absolutely phenomenal. That's a whole other thing I could get into. But no, it's great. Xbox, congratulations, 20 years. Halo series, I don't think is going to be very good. Power On documentary, I think will be. That's my thoughts. So,
yeah, look, I'm all for diving into the history of our culture.
Yes,
put it that way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also, very briefly, it's not on the rundown, but I will mention today the Game Awards announced their Game of the Year contenders, and I actually think they did a good job with the nominations.
But where to hide this year, right?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that I think, I played 4 of the 6 nominations. I know what I'm pulling for. I'm pulling for Psychonauts 2 at this point. Psychonauts 2 or Resident Evil 8. It's got to be one of those two. If it's not, I know Keely said they got votes from 103 different outlets out there, and I'm sure 102 of them don't know what they're talking about. It's a joke. And Sensei Solo says in chat he thinks Metroid Dread deserves it. I completely disagree. 100% disagree. Andrew wants to know the nominations. I believe it's Deathloop. Hold on, I'm gonna get the exact ones right now. Deathloop, Resident Evil 8. I just mentioned Psychonauts 2, Metroid Dread. Remember the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And I forget the 6th one. It Takes Two. It Takes Two. Which is I've heard it's good, but I am
He's played that.
Always against I'm always against the game that needs to be played co-op.
Against it? Why?
Because I like to play games by myself.
That's fair, but that shouldn't restrict it from winning Game of the Year, though.
I mean, the thing is I can't play it because I have nobody to play it with. So
listen, your point's fair. What I'm saying, but I'm just trying to legitimize that it's okay for that to be nominated for Game of the Year.
I mean, it's fine that it's nominated, but if it wins, I think it's a problem because again, as somebody who prefers to play their game solo,
right?
You know what I mean? Like again,
you'd be a nightmare to play that game with. A nightmare.
Probably. The last co-op game, the last campaign I played fully co-op was Portal 2. I played with my buddy Joe back in Jersey. We played that, and actually that was fun. But that's Portal. Portal's amazing. Portal series and Portal 2. I played that co-op campaign, but that's the last camp. I did not play co-op campaigns.
I don't think you would do well with them. So real quick, just because Casey's talking about the Flyers game in chat, Casey, if you think I'm not prepared, you're crazy. But I am watching the Flyers live as we do this broadcast. Just keep an eye on the score, Ray. As a
good to know where your priorities are, Lee.
Yeah, they're totally on the flow. Hold on a second. Okay, that was a save. Anyway,
Rangers 1-3-2. That's all that matters.
Yes, they did. Yes, that's all that matters to you. But anyway, look, it's nice to see that there's some top things up there that are worthy of being up there. I think it's just because there's probably not a ton of money going to that stuff this year, so they actually had to pick normal, good things. But we'll see what happens. Metroid Dread. I mean, look, is it a classic? It has Metroid on the title, so it must be good type thing, and it doesn't mean it's great. You know what I mean?
I actually talked with a friend of mine who's a Metroid expert, and we discussed this at length. And the game, he loved it. He 100%ed it, but he also admits, much to if someone like me who's a bit more of a casual Metroid fan, the game has a lot of issues. Right. It relies too much on the counter. The new I shouldn't say it's semi-new. It was introduced in the Metroid 2 remake a few years ago, but this time around it relies too much on the counter system. There's too much load time between areas. It does a terrible job of introducing the Shine Spark ability and showing you what you can do with it. It really makes you want. If you are not a hardcore Metroid fan, you will not enjoy this game.
Well, and let's just say this,
and that's the problem.
For a Metroid game to win Game of the Year, it will have to be the best Metroid ever made, and this was not.
No, and even my friend Sean, who actually folks know coming here a lot of times as a Fishy Mobile, I think we all still agree Super Metroid is the best side-scrolling Metroid of all time. So I think that there is that, not to put words in Sean's mouth, but I'm sure he would probably agree with that sentiment, that there are problems with this. And so again, in terms of the games of the year, again, I've made my pick is Psychonauts 2, followed by Resident Evil 8. At least from this list, again, I'm have the fortunate advantage of being able to wait a little longer. Halo is probably the last legitimate contender. I don't think Halo is going to crack my top 5. I'm very confident in that. But I could be surprised, which is why I always hold off. And of course, the way that Keely does his game awards is that any game, if you're out in the first week of December, you don't carry over until the next year, which unfortunately, much like Star Wars a couple years ago with Fallen Order, means you kind of get forgotten about by a lot of the press because you technically were released the previous year. Fallen Order released Thanksgiving week of the year that it came out, and it missed the cutoff for Keeley's Awards. And unfortunately, a lot of folks forgot about it. And then when it came to voting the next year, so
amazing.
It's
such a good game.
Yeah, well, again, and that's why I always argue that the Game Awards, I get that they want to do it before the holidays because of all the sales and the ads that the show promotes. The show should be done in January, though, so that this way people can consider games that come out end of November, early December. And Sensei Solo mentioned it also in chat. I opened the whole, we had a whole thing here on the show. You go back to the last year, Sensei Solo, we had a whole rant about how Star Wars got snubbed by the Video Game Awards because of when it released. And I think it's, again, I get why the show is held in December because of money. But it should be done. If the awards actually mattered, it would be held if Keeley actually cared about the awards themselves, the show would be held in January. But that's that. Speaking of, Lee, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's a great point you make.
So speaking of games that have just come out or coming out in the Thanksgiving season, this is going to be a big one. Call of Duty Vanguard. Worst Call of Duty ever.
Are you doing the comic book guy from The Simpsons?
I am doing comic book guy. Yes.
Worst guy ever.
Yeah, worst video game ever. Not the worst video game ever. It's not the worst ever, but it is the worst Call of Duty in my opinion. And I'm going to preface this. I'm going to say it. Call of Duty, I am no longer with this game. Activision said front and center, Ray, we don't care about you as a customer. You are not our audience anymore. And that's fine. I've only played Call of Duty for 11 years straight. But it is what it is. They're focusing on Battle Royale. They're focusing on Warzone. That's their moneymaker now. We've seen this with Epic, with Fortnite. We've seen this with other games and their Battle Royales. They're easy money makers because of the microtransactions. They're cheap to maintain. And what ends up happening now is that when you release a $70 game like Call of Duty, which, by the way, I also need to preface this. Thank you very much to my friends at Activision who did send me a code. I was given a code. I am still crapping all over your game, which is basically what I used to do as a games journalist. But I do need to preface that I didn't drop $70 on this. If I had, I would still be saying this because it's not worth $70. This is a vehicle to try to get you addicted to Warzone. The whole idea of the operators, and I also have it on good authority internally, that Vanguard is supposed to be the first game in a trilogy, the same way Modern Warfare was, the same way Black Ops, they made 4 Black Ops, but the 4th one doesn't really count because it was multiplayer only. The problem with it is that unlike those trilogies, unlike those games, where it was obvious there was going to be a continuation, I don't feel satisfied at the end of this campaign. I feel like we're just scratching the surface, and then I'm left holding my controller in my hands like, what the heck was that? The whole thing is a flashback. 90% of the campaign is a flashback, introducing these operators, and then at the very end, you're basically at the very last day of World War II. And I get what they're setting up here. The idea that they're going to go on a worldwide crusade to hunt the Nazis who escaped to Argentina and other places unknown after World War II, which is a great idea. I think that's a really interesting idea, and it's not one we've really explored before. I don't want to have to wait several years now for that chapter, especially when this first chapter was just set up. It was a 5-hour prologue. There's no substance to this campaign. It's just a backstory. That's not enough. It's not enough. Oh, and by the way, then you get into multiplayer where you can't shoot Nazis anymore in multiplayer. Everybody's got to be a good guy. It's allies versus allies, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I get that you don't look. I completely agree. You don't want to celebrate Nazis. Completely agree with that sentiment, which is all the more reason why it should be okay to shoot them in a video game. Like it's cops versus robbers. It's good guys versus bad guys. And look, somebody's got to play it as the bad guy, right? But it's just a video game. You're playing as that. I think it's worse that it's allies versus allies. Not to mention, half the time I can't tell who I'm shooting against because you have to look for the different coloration in the name, the title of your bar, which isn't there all the time. So sometimes, thank goodness there's no friendly fire. I'm not shooting ally. I'm just shooting everybody who moves. I shoot everybody who moves in Call of Duty multiplayer like it's free for all because I don't know who's good and who's bad because I can't tell. Call of Duty Vanguard really missed the mark on every level. Zombies was okay. That's the best thing I can say about this game. Zombies was fine. They didn't screw that up that bad. It just, I'm saddened because I love Call of Duty. And I came up in the prime of Call of Duty, which was the Modern Warfare trilogy and the first 2 Black Ops games. Call of Duty, as crazy as it is to say, should stay away from World War II the same way that Battlefield should stay away from modern times and near future games. Battlefield has gotten great at doing World War I and World War II. Call of Duty's gotten great at doing everything from Vietnam to now. Those are your lanes. Stay in them. Because every time you step out of them, the game sucks. Oh, by the way, multiplayer is also supremely broken. The balancing is completely terrible. They're hot patching it every day, basically, at this point, because it is a mess. Because of Warzone. Because they want everything to go into Warzone. And look, I may sound like old man saying, get off my lawn. Call of Duty used to be $1 billion franchise. I don't know what it does with Warzone, but I can tell you right now, its annual release, it ain't $1 billion franchise anymore. Lee, do you have any thoughts?
I do. I think wokeness is striking again with that multiplayer, as you said. Look, here's the deal. I've said this before. I agree with you, Ray. Cops versus robbers. This is an all-time thing. I don't understand what they think they're doing or accomplishing. If they wanted to do like the conversation of, well, look, we don't want to represent Nazis. We don't want people representing Nazis, right? Turn them into monsters then. Turn them into Nazi monsters, right? That are not Nazis and they're zombies or they're monsters or something like that. But don't take them out of the game. Am I to believe that a majority of people are choosing the Nazis out of fun and that they want to be the Nazi? I just don't believe that. If you're doing that,
usually
you're an idiot.
It used to be random. You just got assigned randomly to good guy, red team or blue team. That's it. It's that simple.
And then again, if you're not going to give very defining features, I don't know. It's wokeness striking. It's stupid. It's like, I don't know. And like I said, there are ways you could do this. Like I was talking about this earlier in the week, man. Like this is one of the things that was great about Wolfenstein. The Nazis were all monsterish in that, thing. They were amplified idiots, and like that's how you knew the difference. I don't know.
And you still shoot them in campaign, right? You just don't have anybody playing as them. It's just
okay to kill them.
It really feels like Call of Duty has really missed the mark. And I think that, look, and again, if there's younger folks out there who play Warzone a lot and that's your jam,
right? Let
me know if I'm wrong. But I talk to a lot of people on headsets. I'll play on headset a lot of times with Call of Duty, and I talk to people, and not many people I talk to are having fun this year. And you can also tell, like, the population count for Call of Duty seems lower than normal. And I really feel like I already know people tweeted at me when I put it out and I put my opinion out there last week. They're like, I've already deleted it from my console. Same thing as me. I'm getting for the prestige achievement, which I'm very close to. And I'm getting ready to it. Once I get that achievement, it's off my console. Like a lot of people that I'm hearing are very, very unhappy with it. So please, if somebody else, please explain to me if I'm wrong here or you have a dissenting opinion. I would love to hear it. Comment below, comment here in chat, comment on the episode. I want to hear it. Email us, geekswholiksports@gmail.com, Ray or Lee at geekswholiksports.com. Would love to hear it. Because to me, Call of Duty has completely missed the mark. And that'll lead us into our next subject. I'll let Lee have the final word here.
I don't have a final word, man. This is one where I trust your judgment over my own. And I think we have to hear from the audience. But yeah, like, again, look, the money decides a lot of things here, and they might be all right losing you as a fan for Warzone. I think Warzone does bring in an insane amount of money, so that's probably where they're going to focus moving forward.
Yeah, and that's fine, but then stop releasing a new game every year for $70.
Yeah, don't. It's the same thing with EA Sports, man.
Yeah,
come on, man. It's at some point we gotta get to the subscription model and not this money grubbing stuff.
And again, I got the game. I'm very fortunate. I got the game for free. Again, I thank my friends at Activision, and I thank them tremendously as always. But I the only reason why I played this year's game. I told people I was not going to play this game this year unless I got it for free. And that's why I played it, was I got it for free, because I'm glad. And I was right. My instincts were right. If I had dropped $70 on this, I would have been even more furious than I already am.
Let me ask you a question. What if they sold it for $30? You'd be like, okay, that's appropriate. That's a fair question, because you said it's a 5-hour gameplay. It's not a full story. Like,
maybe if it was $30 bucks,
it's a prequel.
maybe
$30. Yeah,
I would not be as furious as for 70 though.
No,
or if you got or if you get
that.
the special edition for 100, no.
Yeah.
No. Which is, by the way, that's a special edition. Just it's more multiplayer stuff.
Of course.
Andrew says he needs me to get mad. And Andrew, I said the same thing. I asked for a code. This is why they won't give me a code, because they know I would crap all over them. I am not dropping $70 on Madden this year. I'm not doing it. If you guys want me to play Madden, if you're on Twitch, subscribe. Subscribe on Twitch. Get me the count. Get me to 50 subs. If I get 50 subs, I will buy Madden. I will play Madden. I will rant about Madden. I am not, or like Lee said, or donate to my PayPal. I am not. Sensei says, Matt, the old Madden games are on Game Pass. The new Madden is not on Game Pass yet. Maybe when it gets to Game Pass, maybe I'll play it, Sensei, but it is not there yet. So if you want me to play Madden now, donate. I am not buying it. I am not giving EA more of my money. I'm already, even on sale on Madden, gave him money for NHL this year. Anyway, sticking with Activision, one other thing. Speaking of not caring about people, and speaking about losing money, Activision stock dropped almost 10% today after the allegations. We talked about this a while ago. A lot of sexual assault allegations running rampant throughout Activision. Well, now it's gone all the way to the top. CEO Bobby Kotick is now in the crosshairs as documents have come forward and internal investigations have come to light about him, sexually harassing several employees and covering for employees who sexually harassed people, including Dan Bunting, who of course was the creative director on several Call of Duty games. Instead of fire, the internal investigation said that they recommend that we fire Dan Bunting for his conduct and for how he treated his fellow employees. And Bobby Kotick said, no, he makes the company too much money. We're just going to send him to counseling instead. And that's what they did. Not to say that Dan probably didn't need counseling and all the other stuff. But when the internal investigation says he should have been fired, he probably should have been fired. I don't care how much money the company makes, but he was accused of sexual harassment allegations, which seem to have some validity to them. And now Bobby Kotick has also had, as early as just a couple of years ago, seemed to have made inappropriate advances on several female employees, especially around holiday parties. And some of these dating all the way back to 2007. Now, I don't know the statutes of limitations here in California. I am not a lawyer, but I will say this. Everybody in the games industry has known for a long time that Bobby Kotick is a scumbag. And now we have documented proof. And there's a very good chance, and as there should be, that he should step down now because he's a scumbag. I don't care about the Activision stock price. I don't care about any of that stuff. But I'm sure, as we've already talked about Money Talks, the fact that the stock dropped almost 10% today, it rebounded a little bit towards the end. But the fact that it dropped almost 10% today, there's going to be a lot of folks on that board and those shareholders, they're going to want him gone because this is not good. When you couple a terrible release in Call of Duty with a horrible sex abuse scandal, if you have Activision stock, you are crapping yourself right now. That's not the only thing, though. Obviously, Bobby Kotick, again, is a scumbag, and he should not be making $25-30 million a year as the CEO of Activision anymore because he's a scumbag. Lee, any thoughts?
No, I think you hit the nail pretty well on the head there, Ray.
Thanks, Lee. Thank you. So, again, the money, I think, is going to be what causes the change here. The change should happen anyway, but again, that's just the way things work. That's kind of what I'm getting at. He should be pushed out anyway, but he's going to be pushed out faster because the stock is going. And exactly. Like a bomb in Call of Duty, it is going down. Last video game story. As Lee shows me, oh, there he is. That's the new.
So I just sent Ray a picture of what I believe to be Gabi Jr. Now, Ray, I will tell you this, that he is on a glider here, and in Spider-Man 3, he does do that more on a snowboard. So I don't know who that is. Look, I'm looking at it. There's a very small possibility that's a Spider-Man. Very small. Looking at
that's who knows? Who knows?
But there's an image I just sent Ray of that character, and I don't know who it's going to be. So, we'll see. Anyway, sorry to go back to Spider-Man. I just saw that picture. I wanted you to see it.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. So
it's tough. I'm looking at it zoomed in.
Yeah, it's tough to see.
It could be a Spider-Man. That could be a Spider-Man from a multiverse. It's definitely not Goblin, though. That's the thing.
It's definitely not Green Goblin for sure.
Right. It could be Hobgoblin, but I doubt it.
Yeah, and I don't, and they're not set up enough yet to do Demo Goblin, which of course is the Demon Goblin. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Not going to go into that. I could go. That's a whole nother can of worms. So we could get into Carrion and all that. Anyway, all these other lesser known Spider-Man villains. But last video game story. This is a good one. Pax East is back in Boston, April 21st through April 24th. Pax says that will happen. That is definitely happening. It is locked in. That will probably, with any luck, be my first return to a convention. So I'm really looking forward to it. But that's in Boston. So glad to hear that PAX is back, especially hot on the heels of them shutting down PAX South. But that we talked about that last week. PAX South has never been the moneymaker or the draw that PAX East and PAX Prime have been, or even PAX Australia. So glad to hear that's back, and I hope that looking forward to that.
Ray, I'm sorry, I have to digress. I just had a thought on this Spider-Man. We're talking live Spider. Remember, we did talk. You know who this might be? It might be Ned. It might be Ned.
I was thinking that Ned as Hobgoblin.
Right. Yeah, I'm realizing that now that they could potentially be Ned. We did talk about Ned being a villain. He is the best friend, so
it could even be an alternate universe Ned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be that. It could be Harry Osborn. I don't know. The Hobgoblin thing doesn't make sense because everything's so green. But like you said, there could be a lot of villains here that we don't know about, or it's also possible it's the Goblin from Spider-Man 1 with Garfield.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. But that does it for the geek section for this week. I think it was a strong one. Sorry that y'all kind of had mostly listened. I mean, we had some good stuff there, but I also ranted for 10 minutes about Call of Duty.
I don't think anyone minds you ranting.
That's fair. Usually it's entertaining. Usually, I like to think so. I hope. Anyway, moving now on to sports. And you're not gonna get a sports rant from me this week because the Giants were on a bye, so we didn't lose. But it was an interesting week in the NFL, which will be the big focus for us this week. The NFL was a lot of crazy. The whole season's been weird, but this week again, a microcosm of it. We had some weird big blowouts. The Dolphins beat the Ravens by 2 touchdowns. The Patriots blew out the Browns. The now with Odell Beckham Rams looked horrendous against the 49ers. The Niners blew them out on Monday Night Football. I don't think it's completely Odell's fault, though. I think that the Rams are A, overrated, and B, people are figuring out Matt Stafford and that offense now. I think, honestly, I think Sean McVay's system is as much the problem as the quarterbacks have been, because this is back-to-back weeks now where you had a good defense in Tennessee, and now you have an average defense in San Fran, making Stafford looking as bad as he did in Detroit the past 2 weeks. And I think that after 2 bad losses going into their bye, the Rams are looking more like pretenders than contenders. Lee, what are your thoughts on the Rams and their situation?
It's an interesting situation because, McVay was such a genius just 4 or 5 years ago. Everybody thought he was the next coming of God. It's just not panning out. So, Ray, it's either he's lost the locker room mildly. It's not like they're a horrible team. Or he needs to rethink his strategy. And look, like we're around that time period where coaches typically lose their locker room, right? If they haven't won. All right, the difference between him and a Belichick and Andy Reid and some of these other coaches, what's his name out in Seattle? Whose name is eluding me right now for some reason.
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete Carroll. I mean, these guys won. They went. And now Reid is a guy who is consistently there.
Yes.
Right. But this team's getting worse. So I think this what's going to happen is he's not going to be there forever. And I think wherever he goes is going to be a very lucky team.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, to be fair, they are in the bye week. This is a good chance for them to retool and rethink some strategies.
They're not out of it by any means.
Oh, they're 7-3. They're still the 3 seed in the NFC. Well, they're technically the first wild card behind the division leaders, right? Like, but
bye weeks are huge. The bye weeks are huge for a team. They are huge. Right? You heal up a little bit. You can kind of take a breath. You got to remember, like, some of these teams, like, I can only imagine what it's like if you have one of these schedules where, you know, we've seen this a couple of times. You have a Sunday game, then a Thursday game, and then like another Sunday game, like, it's just like, it's crazy. You're 3 days to prepare for a football game. It's just not a lot, you know, and then you're back at it. You know what I mean? So
well, I think that's the thing too, is that's why you see a lot of upsets on Thursday night football, right? Like, that's why you see games like the Dolphins upsetting the Ravens, because a lot of these better teams, a lot of these better teams cannot do that turnaround that quick. Like, it's tough. Like, part of the reason why they're so good is their preparation. And when they can't prepare, you end up seeing them being flat-footed. And that's what happened to Baltimore this week.
Thursday night football I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to create Tuesday and Wednesday as your weekend away from football.
Right.
And basically you have football every day, the NFL on Thursday, high school on Friday, college on Saturday, NFL on Sunday and Monday. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever felt good about Thursday night football.
I usually forget it's on half the time when the Giants aren't playing.
Right. Like, it's not doing what I think it was meant to do.
No, not at all. And especially if we stick with a 17-game schedule, we might see that go away again in the future.
I don't think it's needed. I just don't think it's needed. I mean, and again, look, I'm sure it gets great numbers. Don't get me wrong. I don't understand what it's doing. Doesn't help.
Yeah, it's different and it's different with Thanksgiving, right? Like, I think that's something too. I think they tried to capture that magic of that Thursday night, those Thursday games. It's like, it's different though. Like you said, like, some of these people, I don't want to watch football in the middle of the week a lot of times. Like,
the Thanksgiving game is kind of magical.
Yes, exactly.
Right, something about it.
You're playing. I mean, again, going all the way back to high school, you're playing Thanksgiving games usually. Like, it just it's a weird, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The future of Thursday night football in our minds should be in question, but depending on what the NFL does money-wise, it might not be. Speaking of questions, what happened with the Lions and the Steelers? Another freaking tie. I hate ties in football.
Congratulations, Detroit.
Yeah, it's not a win. Like the Coach Campbell said, it's like, well, you want to make progress every week, and I guess it's not a loss. So, like, but if you're the Steelers, you put Big Ben went on the COVID list. If you're the Steelers, you threw 50 times against the Lions with your backup quarterback in the snow. Like, the Steelers lost that game, or tied. That the reason why that game was tied is because the Steelers
they lost it. They lost the win there.
Yeah.
Ray and I talked about this. Sometimes coaches can now coach themselves and their teams, right? Like, you run the ball on the Lions in that situation, you're probably going to win. I guarantee it's like, well, that's what they're expecting us to do. Mm-hmm. Do it.
Yeah.
Not playing the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
All right. Like, do it, dude. Sometimes
don't get cute.
What's obvious.
Yeah, you don't get cute against an 0-18.
No,
your home in Pittsburgh at your home stadium.
Yeah, like, it was stupid. You run the ball. I mean, you go hard nose, like Lombardi used to say, hard nosed football at that point, and you have a backup plan. But you don't need a 50 pass package against the Lions. Yeah, you need 2 plays that work. Just run them over and over and over again.
Yep. Yeah, off tackle, hard right, and
I'm not an NFL coach, man, but sometimes it's like, you guys, what are you doing? You're playing the Lions? Oh, they'll see it coming. It doesn't matter if they see it coming; they can't stop it.
Yeah, talent.
Everybody saw beast mode coming, and then they didn't give him the ball. And what happened?
Yeah,
you give him the ball, he's going to score a touchdown.
Yeah, you outcoach yourself sometimes, like you said, and it just. It's very, very confusing. Speaking of, we also had some other crazy games. The Packers offense is not very good, even with Aaron Rodgers. I get he might still be sluggish from COVID, but the Packers all year have struggled to put up points. But their defense is playing good. They shut out the Seahawks. The Seahawks looked absolutely abysmal, even with Russell Wilson coming back from injury. The Packers won 17-0. Even though the Packers are technically the 1 seed in the NFC, I am not worried about the Packers. But Lee, what are your thoughts? I mean, again, this is a good defense, but they're struggling to score.
I've said this before. The Green Bay Packers are all about postseason play and which team shows up. We talked about this. They are a Super Bowl caliber team if they want to be. Yeah. But it depends on what team shows up. And this is what I'm thinking is there are far too many distractions right now on that team for them to get past it. Look, I'm going to go back to something I said before week 1 when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were completely vaccinated. And I said they will not have that distraction now. And they haven't, right? They haven't. In fact, whenever we talk about the Bucs, Ray, it's about Brady and football. Talk about Green Bay, it's about COVID, it's about who should be playing, it's about contract negotiations, all these distractions from the game. So if they can get all that stuff kind of tied up into a nice bow and out of the way before the playoffs, they actually have a shot. Yeah. Right. If they can't, teams with distractions don't win. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens for sure in Green Bay as the season rolls along. The Chiefs look like the Chiefs. They get back to form. They blow out the Raiders 41-14. Mahomes with 5 touchdowns. Mahomes, after getting a good gritty win in Green Bay the week prior, the Chiefs might be back. They're back in first place now. They're a game up or a half game up on everybody in the division after the Chargers also lost the heartbreaker to Minnesota. It's the Chiefs' division to lose. We said at the beginning of the year, and if they're back to form, look out AFC.
No, they're going to be there. Yeah, they're going to be there. The record doesn't matter once you get there. They're going to be there.
Yeah, no, they'll definitely be in the playoffs, even if it's just as a wild card.
And they know how to win. Like that's the most underestimated stat is teams that know how to win.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's and also a team that's learning how to win and learning how to win consistently is the best team in the AFC, the Tennessee Titans. Also, heartbreakingly, the second week in a row that the Saints lost on a missed 2-point conversion. If they had done that against Atlanta, that game would have they probably would have beat Atlanta, and if they had done that this week against Tennessee, they would have at least tied Tennessee. But the Titans not playing their best game, but they knock off the Saints 23-21. They're 8-2. They're one of 3 teams, I think, that are, I think the Packers and the Cardinals only have 2 losses. The Titans are finding ways to win, especially against good teams. They said it. The Titans have now beaten all the hardest teams on their schedule. They have the softest schedule now for the rest of the season. Out of all the teams that are left or that are playing this year, basically, they have the softest schedule now. They got through the gauntlet. 8-2. Are the Titans the best team in the AFC?
We'll find out. Sometimes, Ray, I've seen this where teams can beat the good teams and they can't beat the bad teams. I've seen that too. So, it's the ball's in their hands again, metaphorically and seriously, literally. But we'll see what happens. It's been an interesting year in the AFC. Did not go the way we thought it would, for sure.
Yeah. Also, Cowboys destroyed the Falcons. Whatever, don't care.
Destroyed them. Yeah,
I mean, they won by 40.
Again, we've talked about the Cowboys. I mean, look, they're the real deal at this point, and
they're going to easily win the division.
Easily, and they deserve to. They deserve to the way they're playing.
Yeah. A couple other things. The Panthers beat the Cardinals. The Panthers historically just own the Cardinals for some reason. Cam Newton came back, went 3 for 4 with a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. They did say that now he's been eased into play with them again. He will be the starter next week. And the Cardinals, they're banged up. We talked about it last week. They found a way to win against the 49ers with all those injuries. This week, those injuries came back to haunt them. Colt McCoy couldn't do it 2 weeks in a row. And James Conner, although he did have a late touchdown, the Cardinals are banged up. If they don't get healthy soon, they could be in trouble as well. At least they'll make the playoffs, but about them making a deep run, who knows? They need Kyler Murray back. They need Murray and Hopkins. And once those guys come back, that team could probably make a run.
When's their bye week? That's the real question.
I think it might be this coming week, and it might be the perfect time.
Right timing, yeah. Bye weeks are important, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I also love that we called the Bills destroying the Jets. Last week we were teasing them. We said, whoever the Bills play next, they're getting a kill. And I said, who is it? The Jets. And boy, did they beat up on them.
Yeah, the Bills are back. The Bills are, I think the Bills are, I know the Patriots had a big win against the Browns. To me, the Bills are still the team to beat in the AFC East. We'll see what happens. The Patriots, though, making a run at a wild card spot at the very least. But you might get 2 teams out of that division. But there's a log jam in the West. There's a log jam in the North. So we'll see what happens there. And then finally, actually not finally, 2 games left. Washington upsets the Bucks.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah, I mean, we said this a couple times this year. When the Bucks lose the turnover battle, they usually lose the game. Tom Brady had 2 bad interceptions. Those directly led to basically the difference in the game, which was 10 points. But credit where it's due, Washington put together a 19-play, 10.5-minute final drive that iced the game. They got the ball with 10.5 minutes or just under 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Hands, man. And exactly, that's how the Giants beat Brady and the Pats a couple of times in the Super Bowls. The best way to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots is don't let Tom Brady have the ball. And that's how Washington beat them here. And they capitalized it with a touchdown. They left no time on the clock, and Brady was just sitting there on the sidelines like.
Seems so simple, right?
Yeah, it's
such
it.
A
Run the ball.
Solution.
And credit too, they converted four third downs, I believe, on that drive. But again, 19 plays, they went 80 yards. That's 5 yards, 4 to 5 yards of play. And that's they talk. You hear it a lot war. In the NFL.
That's why they call it war.
Stay ahead of schedule. Little 4 yards a play. You average 4 yards a play every play. You're gonna win. You're gonna drive, and you're gonna get points. And you're gonna win the game usually, and that's what happened with Washington. As much as I hate to say it, they played a great game. They played a complete great game against the Bucks, and they found a way to win. So there you go. And then finally, also playing a great complete game, including a one of the best fumble sixes we've probably seen, a scoop and score for Darius Slay, I believe it was. Your Eagles, Lee, are looking tougher and tougher, and I hate that, but congratulations.
Well, what I said to you, Ray, was what's interesting about the Eagles here suddenly is that we're in a very weird position all of a sudden, right? So we have the Saints next week, and then nothing but NFC East games the rest of the year. So suddenly, and again, I'm not trying to be too optimistic here, but suddenly the wild card is kind of an attractive talking point. You know what I mean? So the Saints are a team we could beat. We might not. Like it's kind of an evenly matched game. When you look at the rest of the division, you're playing the Cowboys. That's a tough one, but playing the Skins and you play the Giants a few times. The Washington football team and the Giants a few times.
Yeah. Those are winnable games.
Those are very winnable
you win those games.
Outside of it being divisional. And like I will say this, like those games, they're not usually sweeps. All right. These are tough games. So that's what I say. I'm not under any illusion here. Yeah. Most likely the NFC East teams will keep the other NFC East teams out of any playoff contention.
Right.
But the Eagles are in a position where if they play well and find their game here, they could end up in that bottom spot.
Definitely. I mean, again, the Panthers right now are the 7 seed with a 5-5 record. The Eagles, right, I believe, are 4-6.
Yeah.
So you're only a game back.
Right there.
But yeah, like to your point, I say this every year. When I do my schedule, when I lay it out, I always assume that we're going to go 3-3 in the division. I always assume.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, and look, this is what I think happens is if we lose to New Orleans, it's a very different point of the season suddenly than if we beat them. If we beat them and now you're in that wild card. Spot.
5 and 6 is very different from 4 and 7.
Yeah. So and then suddenly it's like, okay, look, do we have to go 6-0 or can we just do a little less than that? Yeah. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Again, I just think it's an interesting schedule, and usually I would never say this, but those are the right teams to play against if you want to make the playoffs.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens. I know the Giants are going to want to get back at the Eagles and play spoiler for what happened last year. And to be fair, they have every right to. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
We will see. But it'll be interesting no matter what, for sure. So that's the football talk for this week. It was a
boom.
Yeah, it was an interesting week.
Sorry, watching it. Flyers winning overtime. Listen, I just watched them come down 2-0 it was 2-0, and I'm like, boom, Flyers winning overtime live on that. By the way, Ray knows this. That's about I've celebrated more than that, but that's about as loud as I get. There it is.
Who'd you guys play tonight?
The Calgary Flames.
Oh, that's a good team. That's a big win for you guys.
It's a big win. We needed it. We lost the last game to Dallas, and that's just watch it live here on Geeks Who Like Sports Live, or if you're watching this recording, the Flyers just won eternally for as long as this recording exists. The Flyers will have won. No, it was a 2-on-1. Sean Couturier right off the goalie's pad and into an empty net. Beautiful goal. And they're pointing at the players saying, nice rebound. I'll take it. Yeah. No, Flyers are doing really well this season, man. They're at another level.
Yeah, you mentioned the Stars real quick. We'll do a brief hockey segment here. The Stars are about to win. They'll get them back to 500. They're starting to heat up. But my Rangers won again tonight as well, 3-2. They're now 10-3-3. And actually, the past couple of games have been out shooting teams. They outshot the Devils the other night, and they outshot Montreal tonight.
So you're saying that I was...
It's 2 games. I'm not ready to say you're right, but they are starting to look better. You know what a big deal is? You know what a big deal is? Capo Caco has now scored in back-to-back games. He's starting
to... the young guys, the world's not on him anymore. Like, look, I'm not going to even say Ranger fans. Northeastern fans are superbly unrealistic when it comes to most things sports. Kid was a rookie during COVID. You guys gave him no chill whatsoever. Right? Like, let the kid find his feet a little bit. Yeah, also, love that the Panthers are beating up the Islanders right now, 6-1.
That's always good. Yeah,
they won 6-1.
But yeah, no, Caco's now he scored a beautiful goal. Not as good as McDavid, but still a very pretty goal if you saw it against the Devils. He scored another good one tonight here against Montreal. Julien Gauthier just called up from the AHL, scored his first of the year, which ends up being the game winner. And Chris Kreider continues to be our MVP so far in the early season, aside from Igor Shesterkin. His 12th of the year already. Not bad, 12 goals in 16 games. I'll take it every time. But yeah, and Shesterkin gets another win.
Do you know who the bottom of the Metropolitan Division is as of this moment?
Pittsburgh?
Nope, we have a new bottom team.
Columbus?
The New York Islanders are now the bottom feeders. Now, here's the deal. Islander fans are going nuts.
Yeah.
I'm half with you. Keeping in mind your record is 5-6. All right.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, I'm half with you. At the same time, every team in the division has been built to beat you.
Yeah.
Don't just please take that to heart in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Right now, Ray, do you know who the top team of the division is as of this moment?
Carolina?
The New York Rangers.
What? We passed Carolina. What?
You are
what?
23. To be fair, Carolina has 3 games at hand on you.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we played almost more than everybody else almost. Yeah.
Right. So the Metropolitan Division looks awesome right now. Looks awesome. There's a 11-point difference between the top team and the bottom team. Keeping in mind that the top team is you, right? The other thing too is I want to give the Florida Panthers a big shout out for being 11-2 after their coach getting kicked out basically.
Yeah.
Amazing that they were able to have traction with that. They are the best team in the NHL right now. And I don't think that's going to slow down. I think they're going to cool off, but not like a nosedive. So
yeah, I mean they've cooled off a little bit. I think the Rangers beat them. Would your Flyers beat them too, or was
we did beat them.
So their 2 losses are to the Rangers and the Flyers.
Right.
Casey shouting win in
Casey
chat. We're talking about it.
I did it live on the air, Casey. I talked about I'll replay that right now. There it is, and boom, Flyers winning overtime.
That's you go,
Cam Atkinson. But look, we've also been talking a lot about the Tampa Bay, Toronto Maple Leafs, who are on a little bit of a run. Look, I'm going to say this again about Toronto. They're a playoff team, no doubt. And Toronto fans we're winning now. You have got to win in the playoffs. You have got to start winning playoff rounds. I don't remember the last time you got past the first round. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Until you win a division, a playoff series, you're a threat to no one.
Here's another thing. You need some depth because it's just too easy to beat you guys. You just shut down your first line and you got nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So just everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Also want to make a quick shout out. Ray and I were talking about this before the show. We can discuss it if you want, Ray, but Columbus Blue Jackets formally announcing they're going to retire the number 61 from Rick Nash. I believe Rick Nash is one of the most underappreciated players of his entire era. This is a guy who was drafted first overall in the 2002 draft. He was brought into a really rough franchise that did not ever win when he was there. He was named captain. He grew the game in Columbus. He's a good person. Had he been on another team, probably would have won quite a bit. Again, but he was traded to the Rangers later in his career when the Rangers were struggling, finished his career up in Boston, but he really was a great player. And now I think he's the director of player development for Columbus, and Columbus has been much better. Even his trading out of Columbus is one of the reasons they were able to become competitive. So
when Brandon Dubinsky and all those guys from the Rangers went over to him. Yeah,
right. So just kind of a shout out to that, because I give Columbus credit for retiring his number. He does deserve it. Even though the team didn't win under his tenure. So I just think that's worth mentioning.
Well, I mean, I think that is the thing. I mean, to talk about Rick Nash is that, like you mentioned it, is that as good as he was always on a losing team wherever he went. And that's a mark against you for a lot of folks.
He was in the playoffs with the Rangers many times, but they didn't win during that.
And then he did nothing there. He kind of disappeared in the playoffs consistently.
So it's but again, great NHL player in terms of skill, right? Who just, I'm glad they're nodding to him, Ray, because again, I'm going to say it again. He was one of the most underappreciated. He did win a Rocket Richard Trophy. He was a 5-time All-Star. He won 2 gold medals with Canada.
A lot of individual awards. So good for him. A loser as a player. Now with a loser franchise, he'll have his loser number retired.
Wow. So, okay. I hope there's no Columbus fans on tonight. There we go.
Hey, I think there's one on TikTok. So, but look, it is what it is. I don't know him personally. I'm just saying, look, you look at his career, and again, even in the big moments, again, as a Ranger fan, he always disappeared. He disappeared in the biggest moments. And as a Ranger fan, I'm not a fan.
No, you don't have to be. I'm just saying my thoughts too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's perfectly fair. So, so there you go with that. Very briefly, since we did talk about hockey, should just briefly mention basketball. The Knicks won yesterday. Very happy about that. They're 8-6. A lot of people are getting on the Knicks because they're like, we should be like 12-3. And I'm like, guys, they're 8-6. They're exactly what they were last year, which are slightly better, right? They're going to probably be a middle seed, somewhere between 4 and 6. I still think they'll probably win a first round divisional matchup this year. It's still very early in the year also, by the way. They're only a couple of games back at the Nets. There's still early. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Knicks fans, calm down. Calm down. All right.
So
we're 8-6.
You're being very New Yorky about this, Knicks fans. Calm down.
Yeah, like it's 14
we're
games.
Good again. We're NBA champions. That's not how development works. It takes
time. And honestly, if we win an NBA championship, it won't be this year. Not as, again, Brooklyn's better. Brooklyn's better than us. The Golden State Warriors have turned things around instantly. Look at that. The Golden State Warriors are soon to be the San Francisco Warriors again, are super healthy. And now they're one of the best teams in the league again. Surprise, surprise. Like, although they lost a heartbreaker to, not a heartbreaker, but good for Charlotte. Charlotte pulled off a nice upset yesterday. They're playing better, Charlotte. It's going to be interesting. It's very early in the NBA season is what I'm saying. But yeah, the Knicks right now are the 6th seed. They're a game back of Miami. They're 2 back of Brooklyn. Like, everybody needs to calm down.
Identical record to the Sixers.
Yeah. And yeah, then the Golden State Warriors, again, best team in basketball right now, 12-2. So there you go. But yeah, relax. Everybody relax. I can't believe I'm quoting Aaron Rodgers here. Relax. So also, just briefly, I didn't plan on this, but because folks in chat have brought it up here on Twitch several times, from Andrew to Moneyman, their MLB free agency has started. Quick shout out, Jose Barrios did sign a massive extension in Toronto. They think he's going to be a key part of their rotation. Obviously, if there's baseball next year, Toronto will be a contender again. They were 91-71. They just missed the playoffs this year. Missed a game back at the Yankees and the Red Sox. They're a good young team. If they continue down this path, Toronto's going to be, I can see Toronto making a World Series run in the next couple of years, but we'll see what happens. Eduardo Rodriguez left the Red Sox, went to Detroit for 5 years. Detroit is going to go all in. Detroit with with almost no talent, just under 500 this year, behind AJ Hinch, who was the sacrificial lamb of the cheating scandal. A lot of other people should have lost their jobs as well, besides him, but he's back and he's proving why he's one of the best managers in baseball, cheating or no cheating. And Noah Syndergaard, who, of course, honestly, in my opinion, is nothing short of a bust as a Met, mostly because of all his injuries. Signing a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Angels, a chance for him to try to prove that when healthy, he can still be a great pitcher. If he does terribly this year, his career might be over, because he's just too injury prone. But I've heard he's a jerk. Again, not my words, talking to folks, friends of mine who used to work for the Mets, who know him. So good luck in LA with all the bunch of rest of us jerks out here for 1 year as the Angels need pitching. They know they need pitching. They have two of the best hitters in the game, and Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
Are they still the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or have they changed it just?
I think they're just the LA Angels now, the Los Angeles Angels. It just, even though they don't play in LA, they play in Anaheim.
Another one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The LA Angels of Anaheim.
It just, yeah, it's
the New York Knicks of New York.
Yeah.
It'd be the
New York Knicks of Connecticut.
It would be the Brooklyn Nets of New York.
Yeah, that's there you go.
The Brooklyn Nets of New York City.
Yeah.
I love it. The New Jersey Jets of New York. Yeah. No, it's the New York Jets of New Jersey. I'm sorry.
That's what it is. There you go.
New York Giants of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Unbelievable. But yeah, so stupid. And one other quick baseball story. Carlos Correa, for no reason at all, again, one of the biggest jerks in baseball down in Houston. We get it. You don't want to play in New York, and New York doesn't want you either, Carlos. Basically, for no reason, just called out Derek Jeter and be like he's like one of the most. He said his words were, Derek Jeter didn't deserve any of the Gold Gloves he got. Why are you calling out Derek Jeter and his defense 25 years after he won those Gold Gloves? I'm not going to lie, as a Yankee
we'll talk
fan,
about him.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Look, you don't want to play in New York. We don't want you. All you had to do was tell your agent, Scott Boras, whoever it is, you don't want to play in New York. You don't want to sign the contract. We don't want you. I don't care what Brian Cashman wants. The fans don't want you. You don't want to be here. Great. I'm not going to lie. You want to talk about late 90s Yankee defense? I'm your guy. But like, honestly, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're a jerk. You're going after somebody who's been labeled as a winner his whole life, and you're just for some reason sore because you're going to always be labeled as a cheater. It's that simple.
Yeah, you're right. This is a total, pun here, left field question. But what would happen if the Yankees signed Altuve? Like, what would happen if they signed one of those guys?
You know what? I was thinking about this the other night, and I thought about 61, the movie where they were throwing chairs at Roger Maris in right field. Fortunately, the chairs are bolted down, or unfortunately bolted down at Yankee Stadium right now. But I imagine the fans, especially those first couple of weeks, would probably throw stuff at them.
They'd never forgive him. I mean, if he could take it, he might earn his pinstripes literally. But he'd have
to win. The Yankees, he'd have to be a key factor in them winning.
I hate saying this, but I have to say, I don't understand how that guy's still playing baseball. I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm not going to get into it now. I just don't get it.
Yeah. So that's for the Twitch chat. And for those of you for the pleasure of all of you listening at home, that's the quick baseball roundup this week. Oh, congratulations, by the way, to Jonathan India. I forgot. He won the National League Rookie of the Year yesterday, almost unanimously. One jerk from Fangraphs decided not to vote for him, but everybody else did. I do like, by the way, that at least for the awards, like, unlike the Baseball Hall of Fame, who voted for who in a lot of these awards. So we can say, hey, that jerk from Fangraphs doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Bryce Harper also won too. It's funny. Follow.
Yeah, a lot of and the Cleveland Guardians is official. They struck an agreement with that roller derby team. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Roller derby team trying to take him out.
Yeah. Oh, Randy Rosarena. I don't think of him as a rookie, but he won the Rookie of the Year because he debuted in the playoffs for Tampa Bay. But he was also the American League Rookie of the Year. Congratulations to those guys. Very well deserved. All right.
Hey, baseball.
Yeah, no more baseball. I did it for chat. I did it for the Twitch.
Major League Baseball. Twitch, let me know if you want me to complain about baseball. I'm always here to let you down. Yes. Always here to let you down about the sport the league you love. It's not the sport. I really am emphatic about splitting those two things. I'd love nothing more than to sit at a baseball game and drink a beer with you, Ray.
Yes.
It, doesn't have to be in the MLB.
Yes.
We can go to a Little League game and do it. We could
be
like good
Thursdays
hunting
at the Jersey Jackals.
We should do that too. I remember that. Come on, what's his name?
Yeah,
Lee, that guy's on the other team. Oh, sorry. Come on, what's her name?
Yeah, for dollar Yinglings, I'll watch any.
That was awesome.
Game.
That was a brilliant thing. And
both
of us had the pleasure of meeting Yogi Berra at that stadium while he was still alive. God rest his soul.
Actually, I never met Yogi.
No, that can't be true.
I never met Yogi.
Oh,
no, I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
I was there I got a book signed by him. Great guy. Anyway, God rest his soul.
Yes. When baseball was good in the 50s.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Robinson was safe. Anyway.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He was not safe. He was out. I'm with Ray.
He was clear. Yeah, he was out.
No, he wasn't. He was out. He was out at home.
Yeah, he was. Anyway, stupid umpires should have been can be replaced by computers. Anyway, moving into our mashup.
Electronic umpires still could. Anyway, go ahead. The mashup.
Moving into our mashup now. This is a good one. That as always, Lee comes up with on the spot when I'm like
on the spot.
The pre-show. Like Lee,
it's amazing that we keep doing that.
I know. 132 episodes.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, all right. I actually think this is a pretty good one.
It is a good one. Yeah. What sports season? Because we obviously just had the huge Spider-Man trailer. What sports season historically?
Or I'll even expect it to a game. We can do a game too, but I think seasons are better. But because I have one game in my mind that deserves this. But go ahead.
What sports season deserves a trailer? I mean, and some of these, the things that for me that come to mind, some of them have been turned into movies already.
That's totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah. But Lee, funny enough, honestly, weirdly enough, all my picks are hockey, but I'll let you go first.
Well, it's because hockey seasons are. Look, here's the deal. Let's talk about this for a minute, right?
Yeah.
So I think the obvious, if we're picking a team, just one team.
Yeah.
The story that's not really been told, in my opinion, yet, is the Dolphins' undefeated season. And I think that's a tragedy. Yeah. I've never seen a film about it. I've never seen anything about it. So if we're picking one team, one season, I think that's a shame that we haven't seen much about that. Arguably the greatest team of all time.
I think NFL Films has done like one of those hour things on.
Yeah, I want a movie though. Like that deserves a film. If we can get a film about Rudy, if we can get a film about Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
All right. In hockey, I have a game that sticks out, but I could pick some seasons too. But the game that sticks out is those dueling hat tricks between Crosby and Ovechkin. It's funny because I was thinking about that game today, right? It's a playoff game. Both players got hat tricks. My brother was actually at that game. I got him tickets to that game. This is back in, I think, 2009, the year that the Pens won the cup. And if you think about it, Ray, this is actually Crosby and Ovechkin both at their absolute peak. Like I'm not sure they've ever been that good again. They're more experienced now, and that plays into it. But like that, two hat tricks, two of the two best players in the game, having dueling hat tricks in a game, you could make a movie trailer about that. Right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's fair.
You know, if I was going to make another movie, the Blues a few years ago is a pretty incredible season.
Yeah,
the Rangers in '94 is an pretty.
I was thinking of course.
Yeah,
yes.
That's one of those like, do you believe it? Do you believe it? You can make a trailer just on that. It's overplayed.
Mato. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, the Broad Street Bullies would be another one. But these are all teams. I'm trying to think of the greatest season of sport that I've ever seen. And I can tell you right now, basketball is almost immediately out because the parity is horrible.
Yeah.
It's tough for baseball because there's been some great seasons, but, just the way the playoffs were structured for so long, it's just tough, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and with basketball, we already kind of sort of had one with The Last Dance, but
right.
Obviously that was more documentary.
That was about one team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to think of like every week something seemed to happen.
If you wanted to do the 98 baseball season is something that we always drug. Like a lot of folks talk about the home run race, but
I was
there was a lot going on there. Obviously, I'm also partial to it because the Yankees were on that historic run just in terms of winning.
I think 98's a good year, man. Look, you have the home run derby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Sosa, you got McGuire, and you got Griffey Jr. So there's a big storyline right there.
Yeah.
You got the Yankees, right?
125 wins. Yep.
Right. There's just a lot going on that season. And I was watching baseball that year.
Yeah.
So that says something. But I think that, it's funny too, because if you look at non-traditional sports, they made that movie, not Rush. What was that movie? It was Rush, about the race car drivers, the F1 drivers. That was funny because that was an incredible season. Chris Hemsworth is in that movie. But yeah, like I think the other one too is when Leicester won the Premier League in England a few years back. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. A team that comes out of absolutely nowhere.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Nowhere to win the Premier League at 5,000 to 1 odds. Dude, when I do professional speaking, Ray, I bring this team up. And I love showing these stats because I don't think people hear 5,000 to 1 and they go, oh yeah, that 5,000 to 1, that's a lot. Let me tell you real quick, Ray, some things that have better odds. One is Elvis being alive has better odds than Leicester winning the World Cup that year. Okay, like it. I did research on this of like 5 things that have better odds. I don't have them all, but like Elvis being alive was one of them. That's how far this was. In fact, when they were halfway through the season, they were on top of the table, and it was so scary for the betting. You remember in England you can bet like we can here now, but back then like you can do it. So I remember like Betfred and Bet365, all these English betting companies, they were doing half payouts halfway through the season of just like, listen, we'll pay you half the earnings now if you just give up this bet. Yeah. Right. That's because 5,000 to 1. That means you put down $1, you win 5,000 pounds. Sorry, you put down a quid, you get 5,000 pounds. You know, can you imagine if somebody put 10 pounds down? I mean, that happened. It happened. So I just think that that deserves like because you could get into the country with that and like people not believing it. And it turns out he just did really good team bonding. Huh. I would like to see that film. How are they doing this? Well, he's taking him out to pizza after every win. You think that's it? I do. I think he's got these guys believing they could win. That's not how it works. So we sack coaches when they don't do well. I know. That's why he'll probably get sacked next year, which he did. Yeah. Right. But Leicester winning that World Cup, I think that deserves a film. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, obviously it's always my teams. It's 94 Rangers. Obviously, we've already had one with the Miracle on Ice many times, actually, I think. Right. And of course, you're right. Yeah. And, so 1980. And then, of course, the 07 Giants upsetting the Patriots. That wouldn't be a bad film. Yeah. That wouldn't be a bad film. As nobody expected them to win. Well, I mean, especially the Giants 0-2, getting blown out every year. Coughlin was on the hot seat after week 2. Right. And then suddenly they turn it around. They become the road warriors. Right. The Giants would not lose another road game after week 1 for the whole year, including the Super Bowl. They were technically the road team. Those obviously those are for me. I mean, if you're going to do season, I think 98 is good because that also features the 98 Yankees. I think that's there's a lot. There's other ones. So I think about like the Anaheim Ducks that lost the Devils in 2003. Like that was a good season of hockey. Like there's a lot of good seasons in there too. It's just, again, some of these are also because I was really into it back then, and now I have children and I can only watch bits and pieces of the games and then hope they go to bed. And then Cam Atkins scores in the overtime against the Cowboys. Yeah, you can watch it on the phone while doing our podcast. Hey, listen, I didn't miss a beat. That's true. That's professional. It'd be funny if I was just like, yeah. What? Anyway, good show. Thanks for being here, everybody. Yes. Good stuff. That Spiderman show was great. And if you listen to this on recording, again, thanks for being here. I can tell you right now, we were making jokes at the end of last week, Ray, because we were really just droning. And I said something about it. And Matt Cavalieri, our very devoted listener over in England, who will hear this, messages me. I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but he's like, I heard this and I'm saying this. And it was like at the end of the podcast when I was dying. And I was like, Matt, we appreciate you. I know you're listening right now. You listen to the end, everyone. Thank you. Matt Cavalier over in the United Kingdom. A really good person, just a good friend and a good person, a good friend of the show. So thanks for listening, Matt. I agree with all that. Yeah. I concur. Seconded. Yes. By the way, if you ever meet an English person, ask them to say the word indubitably because they can't do it. Nice. Okay. That's good to know. Not to mention, there's plenty of words we can't say with their accent, but indubitably is indubitably. I can't say it. Never mind. It's fine. Indubitably. No. You have to say it so. Indubitably. I think that was it. It's cool. Good. It's cool. Close enough. Dr. Otto Octavius. No, but for real, what's your real name? Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was funny. Yeah. So Raymond's real name is Raymond. My real name. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why that was asked. Dude, I had a person one time. This is a true story. just not believe my name was Lee. They thought Lee was short for something. I'm like, no, my name is Lee. It was a very popular name in the 1950s. That's when my parents were teenagers. My dad was born in 40s. My name is Lee. It's not Leroy, Leviathan. I'm like, it's Lee, L-E-E. Why? I said my middle initials are MJ. Didn't care about that. Well, I usually joke it's Master Jedi, Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. It's Matthew Jason. But my point is that, no, it's got to be short for something. I was just, all right, serious Lee. It's not.
Yeah. Well, I told you the story how I got named Raymond, right? You know how I was named.
I think you should tell the viewers.
All right. So the two things you have to know. First off, Raymond is not a very Italian name. I have an Uncle Carmen. I have an Uncle Tony. I have an Uncle Joey.
Carmen, Tony, Joey.
Right. My dad. I believe this is what I was told. My grandmother thought my dad was going to be a girl, so she did not have a boy's name ready to go. So when my dad was born, my dad is the youngest of the four brothers on that side. My grandmother was so shocked that they asked her what the name. She's like, well, I'm just going to name it after the moron doctor that said he was going to be a girl. So that's how Raymond got into the family. And then I was named Ray Jr. because my mother wanted to name me Michael after my grandfather. My dad wanted to name me Dominic after the Christmas donkey because he thought it'd be funny. So my mother, finally, the nurse comes up to my mom and it was basically like, well, we need a name. And she's just finally like, fine, I'll name him Ray Jr. This way he's still named after a jackass. And
that is something your mother would say.
Yes.
Dude, that's awesome.
There you go. So there you go.
Your full name, sir. Your full name is
Raymond Carcillo Jr.
There you go. RCJ. You go.
Yes.
So and my full name is Lee Matthew Jason Elias because my father misspelled Matthew on my birth certificate. So So my full name is
your dad would do.
Yeah, it's Lee Matthew. I joke. Lee Matthew Jason Elias. I will go Matthew every once in a while. It's great because when I sign official titles and stuff like that, they put Matthew and they spell it correctly. And I'm like, if I ever need an out on this, you spelled my name wrong.
Yes.
Legally.
Yeah.
I also think that if just rounding the story out, it would be funny if my first name was just fully Lee Matthew. Think about that. Lee Matthew. It's
that would be a good Star Wars name.
Yeah.
Lee Matthew.
Lee Matthew of the planet Vulcan. No, it's funny to think about Lee Matthew from time to time. But yes, look, Ray, it's getting late here. I will say this. We are weeks away from Star Wars season, Marvel season, just pure geekdom. And I want the listeners to know, if you're still here, we definitely want you to join us on Stream Lounge when we're doing Hawkeye. I'm actually looking forward to getting back to that. This break was a good idea.
Yes.
Hawkeye comes out when?
Thanksgiving.
Okay, so let's look at it. We got one more episode left next week on the 23rd, kind of the pre-Thanksgiving episode where we'll highlight what's about to happen. Maybe give some Hawkeye predictions. Maybe look forward a little bit. Then Thanksgiving happens and all hell breaks loose. We're here Tuesday nights. We're going to be here Friday nights.
Yes.
And you guys better be here. And if you're not, I will find you and I won't find you. Nothing will happen.
Nope.
We'd appreciate it if you were here.
I mean, and then also you got to remember, there'll probably be at least a week break when I come back to Jersey for the holidays.
Yeah.
So
will I see you? Will we not? We don't know. It doesn't really matter. There's no pressure.
We got to figure it out.
There's never any pressure for me. You know that.
I know.
You know that.
But I know I'm actually excited. I am going into the city one day, which will be the first time I've done that in a few years, actually.
Very different city than you remember.
Yeah, it's also. I mean, you know this. I get exhausted running around, but anyway.
I'm gonna give you a heads up right now. When you go to Midtown, very, very, very different than you remember. It is a ghost town, so be ready for that.
Okay.
No
actually, all right. That might be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll see how
I think it'll be good. I'm just saying that just be prepared for it because there's not many restaurants left over. So they might be starting to pop up again now. I haven't been there in a bit, but it's New York City is reeling right now. It'll bounce back. It always does.
It always does.
But it's definitely closer to 2001 New York right now than it was, when we were there.
Well, I'm sure there's at least a Starbucks somewhere. I'm meeting some folks from coffee. So
you will absolutely be able to find a Starbucks.
Yeah.
All right. And a place called Pizza that has really good pizza. Guaranteed that will be there.
There'll be we'll get a slice at some point.
A place called Pizza.
Yes. We'll figure it out. But that's
what's the best pizza in New York? Any place that says pizza outside the restaurant.
Yeah, and isn't Sbarro.
Yeah. You go to New York and go to a Sbarro or a Red Lobster. What's wrong with you?
Seriously.
You go to the place called Pizza, or the guy on the corner that's got the kebabs.
Yeah, no, those carts. Do not underestimate those carts.
Never.
But I'll say this: some of the best dirty water dogs, though, go to the Natural History Museum. For whatever reason, the carts around the Natural Museum, his Museum of Natural History, those are some of the best dirty water dogs in the city.
They're blessed. That's why.
Yeah. So dinosaur bone water, probably. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, all right, that's it. We're rambling here. Another rambling end of the show. Poor Caitlin has to listen to all this. But yeah.
So does poor Matt.
Yeah.
Still not our longest. Thank you. Yeah.
Still not our longest episode though. We appreciate everybody listening and tuning in. We're gonna go into the post show now. If you're here live with us on Twitch, if you're listening after the fact, we appreciate it as always. If you're new to the show, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Of course, I'm Ray. That's Lee. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate it. This has been episode 132 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We'll see you all next week, everybody. Have yourselves a great night.